كن فريدا عش بفخر في الحياة لا تبالي.
And 90% knowledge and 10% ignorance, it doesn't count. So just this one example will tell you there's something definitely wrong with this belief system. Somewhere something went wrong. That is why we say Christ, he came to tell people to worship God, his God, and of course he's not all knowledgeable because he's a creation of God. The creation of God, you, me and everything else, is not all knowledgeable. All wise, all knowledgeable attribute only belongs to the one absolute being, that is God. Okay? So when we filter, we can arrive at the correct conclusion. Okay? And if you look at the concept presented in the books, if it doesn't get in line with your heart and your mind, there's something wrong with it. Because God who created you knowing that what you are capable of accepting and capable of rejecting. He cannot force you to a book which says God is half elephant and half man as a result of chopping the heads off the man's head, Ganesh, and then the only thing that's the story I have to tell you again very briefly. There was this God, he has a wife, goddess, and he has a son, right? He puts his son on the guard in front of the door, so no one goes inside, so wife is there, right? Whatever reason, okay, let's say just okay, protect the family. For whatever reason, he didn't do that. He became angry. God, the husband God or the father God became angry. He chopped off the head of his son. And then he eventually realized, because what have I done? I've killed my own son. Not killed, but chopped my own son. So he looked around, saw an elephant, chopped off the head of the elephant, put the elephant's head on the half decapitated body, and now you have an elephant head and a human body. His name is Ganesh. If you ever go to East London or Wembley, Middlesex, and go to a jewelry shop, he's the god of economics to the Hindus. They worship this Ganesh. You will see elephant to the trunk, but he's got a belly and a human body. But you will ask yourself, what kind of concept of God is that? It doesn't get tuned with your heart and your mind. So what we're saying is a concept of God which you and I are seeking to find the truth must make sense to you. Now let me give you an example. And you tell me honestly. This is from the Quran, right? A book that we believe in. So I'll show you from the English translation. It's only 4 lines. A small surah. A surah is like a chapter in the Quran. And the Quran is composed of 114 surahs as a whole book. And this chapter is called chapter of Ikhlas or purity. It presents to us the concept of God in a nutshell. And see if your heart and your mind is finally in tune with it, or your heart and your mind says averse to it. It's not for me. Yeah? Think about it, because the true concept of God from God through his revelation must make sense about him. Say he is Allah, the one. Allah, the eternal refuge, the one who is without father, mother, individual. Basically, he is absolute. What footnote is that?
Read it out.
He is absolute, perfect. That's what it means, the Arabic word. So, absolute, independent. He neither begets nor is born, meaning he's not someone who gives birth to or produces any other. Neither himself is a product of someone else, a parents or lineage. Nor is there to him any equivalent or likeness or comparison. So it's one and only, unique, absolute, independent, perfect. Everything relies on him, depends on him, he depends on no one. He is not born, doesn't produce offsprings or children, and there is nothing co-equal or like him in any way, shape or form. Consult your heart and your mind. Does this concept of God make sense to you? There is one absolute being. Has to be one. Has to be one.
Why do they say it's a him?
No, this is just in Arabic language. They have to use the language. This is how God described himself. You can use he, she. There is no it in Arabic language. So God tells us he's not a man or a woman. In fact, he created both. He is not a gender. This is just a language where the Arabs have used in customary to describe God to be someone who is free from any gender. So if God used she, you can, because there's only two gender pronouns rather in Arabic language. One can ask, is God a female? Same question can ask. So what are you going to use? There is no, either he or she, that's what you're going to use. So Arabs say the sun is one gender, moon is one gender in terms of how you say it.
Yeah, it's just
You know, when you say, okay, right, I went to a ship and she was beautiful. A ship, using a feminine attribute. My country is England, she is beautiful. She's not feminine. You see, when we use pronouns, customary use is not because something is a male or a female. Yeah, it's not because there's something is a male and female. A ship is not a female, neither is a country. But we just give the pronouns because that's what we are. In English, you have another one called neuter gender, called it. In Arabic, no. So God chose the masculine gender, but he says clearly he's not a man or a woman. And I think he's the creator of all things.
Why did he choose the masculine?
You can ask the same question, why did he not choose the feminine? And he will say, why did he choose the feminine? So the Arabs...
Yeah, but is there an answer to my question?
Yeah, because in the understanding where feminine gender was considered to be someone who is very gentle, very kind and compassionate, someone like, receptive and so on. God is saying, no, he's the creator. He's the one who also punishes. He's merciful, but he also punishes. It is not within the, say, makeup of a woman to punish. To punish someone. So the Arab mind, this is my humble understanding, will be in conflict. God is like describing with a she, and he's saying he's going to destroy us. I mean, come on. It cannot be. God cannot punish if you describe him with a she attribute. So this is just
But that's how you see women.
No. I'm saying this is the understanding of a linguistic tradition at that time. But when God then tells you that he is not anything, there's nothing like unto him. There is nothing like unto him. He's not a man or a woman or of any kind. Anything that you can imagine is not God. So if he was one,
basically they're saying that he's not a man or a woman. He's not, but that's just the way in which they word
because
the words,
the other option is not using any pronouns at all, only using noun.
And they don't,
But in language, if I keep using nouns without a pronoun, you will see how difficult it gets. That's the reason why we have pronouns. We say he, she, it, they, we, us, rather than just by names, individuals. We resort to now pronouns for a reason. So when pronouns are used, it is not because he's a male gender. Quran absolutely says no. So God, see how it feels if I use this, okay, for the clarity then. God is one and only, because God is one and only, God has to be absolute. If God is one and only and absolute, he cannot be born, because there will be someone else who is born from. Then he will be dependent on someone else. If he also gives birth or produces something, then there's something like God. So if God is one and only and absolute and independent, not born, doesn't give birth, can there be any likeness to God in any way, shape or form? There cannot be. So this concept of God